What if I were to suggest that the individual posing the greatest threat in your life is not a stranger hiding in shadowy corners, but rather a presence at your dinner table, one who possesses insight into your most profound fears, your loftiest aspirations, and an acute awareness of the triggers that can stifle your potential? Carl Jung uncovered a profound aspect of human nature, the existence of a shadow, a darker side that many choose to ignore. However, what Jung did not fully caution us about is that some individuals do not merely harbor their shadow. They actively wield it as a weapon against others. In the following moments, we will explore this unsettling reality. I am about to unveil the 6 shadow archetypes identified by Carl Jung, albeit under different nomenclature. These personality types possess the potential to disrupt your tranquility, undermine your achievements, and lead you to doubt your own perception of reality. Intriguingly, it is likely that you recognize at least one of them in your own experience. According to Carl Jung, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. However, what occurs when that irritation transcends mere reflection and becomes a cautionary signal? Carl Jung posited that envy represents one of the most corrosive forces within the human psyche. He observed that certain individuals exist in a state of constant comparison, gauging their self-worth not through personal development, but by the extent to which they can undermine others. Imagine sharing exhilarating news with someone you hold in high regard, only to be met with a subtle shift in atmosphere, a pause that lingers uncomfortably, a smile that fails to reach the eyes. Jung would attribute this to the insidious presence of the envious shadow. However, what is particularly unsettling, as Jung meticulously documented, is that this envious shadow does not seek your spectacular failure. Such an outcome would be too overt. Instead, it aims to instill just enough self-doubt to prevent you from fully realizing your potential. According to Carl Jung's research on psychological projection, these individuals perceive your success as a reflection of their own shortcomings. Your brilliance can be painfully blinding, revealing the shadows within others. They may applaud your achievements, yet harbor a desire for your missteps, seeking a sense of superiority. Jung identified this envious presence as a form of psychological parasitism, where they draw sustenance from your self-doubt. Each time you suppress your radiance to ease their discomfort, you nourish their darkness while neglecting your own essence. The unsettling truth is that they grow more powerful as you diminish, and they're acutely aware of this dynamic. Carl Jung identified a personality archetype he termed the dependent shadow, characterized by individuals who resist the process of individuation necessary for achieving wholeness and self-reliance. Instead, they form attachments to others akin to parasites, drawing upon emotional energy without reciprocation. Jung articulated, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, yet the emotional leech has forsaken this transformative journey. They have opted for the ease of relying on your energy, your emotional labor, and your continual rescue efforts, rather than confronting their own shadow work." Herein lies the revelation that Jung uncovered, which may astonish you. These people don't actually want to be helped, they want to be helped indefinitely. The moment you solve one crisis, they'll create another. Why? Because according to Jung's analysis, their identity is Bill. On being the victim, the broken one, the one who needs saving. Jung warned that when we constantly rescue others, we enable what he called psychological inflation in ourselves. We start to believe we're the savior. Meanwhile, the emotional leech experiences psychological deflation. They become more dependent, more helpless, more convinced they can't survive without you. But here's the twisted part, Jung UNC. Over the longer you stay, the more they resent you. Why? Because deep down they know they're capable of more, and your presence reminds them of their choice to remain small. According to Carl Jung, the most dangerous predators don't hunt with claws, they hunt with charm. He called this the seductive shadow, a personality that uses words as weapons and kindness as a control mechanism. Jung uncovered that these individuals have perfected what he referred to as emotional alchemy. They possess an uncanny ability to convert your boundaries into guilt, your intuition into confusion, and your strength into dependence. What Carl Jung found both captivating and alarming about the alluring shadow is that their desires extend beyond mere compliance. They seek your very essence. They aim to reconstruct your reality to the extent that the distinction between their identity and yours becomes indistinguishable. Jung remarked, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." In contrast, the sweet talker has entirely dismissed this endeavor, opting instead to embrace you wholly, but solely the version of you that they can manipulate. Carl Jung identified that certain individuals find themselves ensnared in what he termed the comparative mind. They are unable to experience joy unless it is juxtaposed with another's suffering, and they cannot revel in their own success without ensuring that someone else feels diminished. Jung identified this as one of the most psychologically damaging patterns due to its insidious nature. The subtle competitor refrains from direct confrontation, instead opting to undermine your confidence gradually, drop by drop, until you find yourself consuming doubt rather than assurance. According to Jung's observations, these individuals grapple with what he termed achievement anxiety. They are apprehensive that your success will illuminate their own stagnation. Consequently, they become adept at veiled sabotage. However, Jung uncovered a pivotal insight. Their fear is not genuinely rooted in your success, but rather in what your achievements signify about their own choices. Your development serves as evidence that transformation can occur, which can be quite unsettling for those who have opted to remain in a state of stagnation. Carl Jung stated, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." However, the individual who identifies as a perpetual victim has dismissed this essential reality. They have chosen to define themselves by their experiences, believing that these events irrevocably shape their identity, leaving no room for transformation. Jung uncovered that the victim's shadow fulfills a psychological role, shielding the ego from the burden of accountability. It is far simpler to attribute blame to external circumstances than to confront the daunting notion that we possess agency over our own existence. Jung found particularly unsettling the fact that those embodying the victim's shadow are not genuinely pursuing healing. Rather, they seek validation for their suffering. Each time one offers such validation, they inadvertently become enablers of the victim's stagnation. According to Jung's findings, the professional victim derives what he termed secondary gain from their anguish, acquiring attention, sympathy, and influence over others through their distress. They will fiercely protect this status, even at the cost of remaining in a state of disrepair indefinitely. This represents the most perilous of Jung's shadow archetypes. Carl Jung identified that certain individuals entirely forsake their genuine selves, opting instead to create what he termed a false self, a meticulously designed persona aimed at deriving optimal advantage from others. Jung articulated, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The adept manipulator has not merely dismissed this privilege. Rather, they have transformed it into a tool of subversion. They assume whatever identity is necessary to extract their desires from you, as elucidated by Carl Jung's insights. The master manipulator experiences what he describes as persona inflation. They become so engrossed in their facade that they lose sight of the authentic self that once existed. Their deceit extends beyond mere lies to others. They have deceived themselves to such an extent that they genuinely accept their own fabrications. However, Jung's revelation alters the perspective entirely. These 6 shadow types are not distinct entities, but rather various manifestations of the same psychological injury. The avoidance of shadow work, the unwillingness to confront their darker aspects, and the failure to assume responsibility for their own healing and development are at play. Jung articulated, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." These perilous individuals have opted for a divergent course. They aim to illuminate the darkness in others while concealing their own shadows. What solution did Carl Jung offer long ago? A notion that has largely eluded the masses. He articulated, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. When you embrace your entirety, your light and your shadow, your strengths and your wounds, your power and your vulnerability, you become impervious to these shadow manipulations." Jung elucidated that individuals can exert influence over you solely through the aspects of yourself that remain unacknowledged. The envious shadow can instigate self-doubt regarding your achievements only if you harbor such doubts internally. The emotional leech can siphon your energy if you mistakenly equate your value with the act of rescuing others. The sweet talker can manipulate you if you find yourself yearning for external affirmation. However, Jung's paramount caution, perhaps the most crucial insight you will encounter today, is that these shadow figures do not serve as mentors. They do not facilitate your growth. Rather, they function as psychological parasites, imparting a singular lesson: the extent to which you are willing to forfeit your true self to evade discord, as articulated by Carl Jung. All that provokes our irritation in others can serve as a pathway to self-discovery. Yet, at times, this revelation may culminate in a singular realization: I am worthy of more. Carl Jung dedicated his career to the exploration of the human psyche, uncovering a fundamental truth. We instruct others on how to treat us. Each boundary left unestablished, every instance of manipulation accepted, and every occasion where one prioritizes another's comfort over personal peace conveys a message that one's essence is negotiable. Jung articulated, "Your vision becomes clear when you delve into your heart. Those who gaze outward merely dream, while those who introspect awaken and delve within." Posing the inquiry of who in your life would vanish should you cease compromising your own integrity for their comfort. The response to this inquiry transcends mere individuals. It pertains to the reclamation of the existence you have always envisioned, a life wherein your energy is revered, your tranquility safeguarded, and your introspective endeavors empower you to distance yourself from those who seek to diminish your potential. As Carl Jung posits, the objective is not the eradication of the shadow, but rather its conscious integration, fostering wholeness and surrounding oneself with individuals who respect both your brilliance and your intricacies. Your journey into shadow work commences the moment you cease undertaking theirs. The choice, as Jung articulates, remains perpetually yours. Yet now you possess clarity regarding the dichotomy before you. I extend my gratitude for accompanying me on this intellectual exploration. Should you find merit in today's discourse, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and share this video with others who may derive benefit from it.